Hey guys, Nate, the DIY mechanic here. Back on a project that we're calling Frankenstroke here, where we're putting this truck together from parts, essentially. And I wanted to make a quick video on troubleshooting power windows on these old body style Fords. There's a lot going on here, as you can see. There are a lot of wires that run to the door switch, especially on a crew cab like this one. And troubleshooting these windows can be kind of a pain. However, I want to give you just a couple of tips here, a few things that you can do to try and diagnose your issue. So first thing, obviously you got to pull the interior door panel off to gain access to everything. This one I have off because I've got quite a few things to do to this door. It needs the mirror bracket bolted back on again. We'll probably strip this nasty window tint, and this door's window is not working. So I've got the ignition in the accessory position. Everything's plugged in, and if I hit the button here, can you hear that? Nothing is happening, but I do get ever so faint a clicking sound coming out of the door. And generally, if that's the case, the issue is the window regulator motor itself. But I'm going to kind of show you how to verify that, because you can have wiring issues in here between the door and the A pillar or the B pillar for the rear doors. These are notorious for breaking right in here, where they kind of kink when the door is shut on the crew cab rear doors. So it can be switches, it could be power, it could be fuses, it could be a lot of things. So where I like to start, because a lot of times I end up inside the door here anyway, is to just verify and make sure that I've got power at the window regulator. So we'll go ahead and disconnect that. If I can do it with one hand here. There we go. And we've got two prongs. So that is very simply up and down, or power to that motor. And when you run it up or down, it just reverses the polarity. On a DC motor, you can make it run forwards or backwards. You just flop the wires. So what I've got here is my digital volt-ohm meter. Highly recommend you have one of these for troubleshooting automotive electronics. This is another instance where it's going to be essentially the only tool that we need. So I've got some alligator clips threaded onto the ends of my probes, and I'm just going to connect one of those probes to each of those wires. Now, once that is done, okay, so making sure they're not touching. Got it set to voltage, right? That's what V is for here. And I've got it set to the DC auto ranging scale. You see how it's got a straight and a dashed line? That's DC. If I were to see that little squiggle, that is alternating current, and that won't give us an accurate reading in a car because we're using DC voltage. So switch back to DC. Now what I want to do is watch my voltage there and hit my power window button up and down. So we'll just go ahead and start with down. I'll hold that down, and I've got a reading of 12 volts, 12.3 volts. So it is getting power in the down position to the connector for the motor. If I let go of the switch, I see that go back to 0 more or less. If I go in the other direction, in this case up, we'll see I've got about the same voltage, but the polarity is swapped. See, that's negative polarity. There's positive. See how that works? Up and down. So I've got voltage in both directions, but the window no worky. It's not working. So in this case, that's partially because we've got it unhooked, but I get the same thing with the window regulator motor connected. So At this point, that motor is seized. I've never had much luck opening those up and doing any kind of repairs. Good news is they are not prohibitively expensive. You can order those from Rock Auto. You could probably also take your chances and try to order one from Amazon. I will probably finish diagnosing the issue with the other 3 doors because I have not a single working window in this truck. And it's time to get some of this stuff working. Well, passenger rear wants to work a little bit. So that's promising. It's not real fast, but it works a little. What about this one? Yeah, nothing. The other thing to watch for too is to make sure you don't have this lockout switch in. If that is in, it'll disable the switches at each door, and it will only work from the driver's side door here on the crew cabs. This one back here, we have a little bit of a hint as to why it may not be working. There's something missing right in this area. So before we call this one dead in the water, we're going to want to pull this door skin, get in behind there, and hook a switch up. As luck would have it, what I found in the truck when I was cleaning it out. So it's probably an indication that there was an issue with the door or with the window, and somebody took it apart to fix it and either gave up or didn't want to buy the parts. But it's also possible that maybe the switch just fell out. So we'll have to get in here, fish our wires out, plug that switch in, and give it a shot. But we're going to need to order at least one window regulator for this guy. So that's one of the things we're working on here. I've also got to do some repairs in here. That's not quite how that's supposed to be. So I will make a separate video on repairing this section. There's a replacement panel that you can buy. There's an aftermarketer that's seen this problem and rose to the occasion to meet it by fabricating a little piece of sheet metal that rivets in here, or you can screw it or bolt it or weld it or whatever you want to do, and kind of solves this problem. I don't think we're going to go that route. They're about $26 a door, and I think I can fix up what we've got for a little less than that. So we got to do that to this door. I also have an issue right in here, if it'll focus. This little reinforcement tab is broken. That's a little tab that goes in underneath the wing window here and just adds a little bit of rigidity to the door. That's especially important on these with the big tripod windows because they're hanging way out there in the wind, and they tend to vibrate and shake and can be somewhat difficult to see out of if that little bracket is broken, which this one is. So for this door, we'll want to get the window down. We can take this wing window out. You can unbolt it from the door here, and here, and right here. And that entire frame and wing window assembly will come out of the door. But we got to get this window down first. So I'm going to go ahead and take this window regulator out to allow me to lower the window. And there are a couple of ways that you can do that. The entire window regulator, the gear and the arm and the motor, the mounting bracket, is fastened to the door in these 3 locations. There's 2 big rivets here. I think there's supposed to be a 3rd rivet down here, and for whatever reason someone's replaced it with a bolt. It's probably been an issue before. So you can either drill those rivets out and remove the entire regulator assembly, or I'll give you a little tip. There are 3 little bolts, you can see one of them here, that hold that window regulator motor to the arm and assembly. So clearly we can access one here, and the other 2 are behind these divots. There's one there, and there's one here. So what I will do is get a drill bit and drill a hole in each one of those locations, and that will allow me to access the little screws to take that regulator motor off of the regulator. So I'm going to go get a drill and a drill bit. I'll drill those 2 holes and show you what the access looks like. If I remember correctly, I can kind of eyeball one of these in relation to that divot, and that one's about dead on. This one down here, I think in the past I've had to deviate from the location of that divot just a little bit, but this one looks to be pretty close. So let me go get a drill. I'll drill a couple of holes and I'll show you what we're left with. All right, 2 minutes later, got a couple of holes in there. I just did this with a step bit. I kind of like that because these, you can kind of push the hole in one direction if you need to make a correction. So I tend to start just the tip of the bit through. That's about, what, a 1/4 inch hole. And then take a look at how I'm lined up. And if I need to, I can push it in one direction or the other. But this one, I don't know if you can see or not, it's pretty good. I think I can get a socket on that. And here's what we got for the bottom one. Kind of hard to see. But at any rate, we're lined up. I can go ahead and get my socket on those and run them out. Now it seems like I always end up dropping those little screws inside the door and then fishing them out later. And this one's not quite perfectly lined up, but I think I can make it work. It's sharp back in there. All right, let's see what we can do with the others. We have a winner. If you struggle with alignment on some of these, like I did with that top one, take the other bolts out first. As that socket, yeah, see, gets closer to the door, the angle becomes more severe and it's harder to get onto the bolt. But once you've got the other bolts out, you can push the motor back away from the bracket enough that your angle will stay the same. You can typically get the screws out. Okay, let's get this one with my fingers. If you think this is easy, try it with one hand. Go. Got one out. Put those in the integrated parts tray. And then with that one out, I think we should be able to get this last one, and the motor will probably drop free. I could reach in there and catch the motor. If I didn't have both of my hands tied up. Ah, we saved another one. Look at that. Into the parts tray. And then now all I've got to do is fish that motor out of here, and that's usually able to be done from back here. I can't do it with my big heavy sleeves on right now and my watch in the way, so I'm going to take my watch off, and I should be able to reach in through there and get that guy out. I may just go ahead and put the window down gently, and then take this frame out. That'll make it a lot easier for us to get what we need done. We can actually slide the window out and remove the glass, make it a little easier on ourselves. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'll get some tools here. We'll take these bolts out and get the wing window out of the way. Again, these are not difficult to work on. Once you get to this point, it's pretty easy to get this wing window completely out of the door. So let me get some tools and get that guy pulled out. All right, we went ahead and got our bolt removed here. Our one up here and our one up here. I think this was a 10 millimeter and those two were 7. Jobs like this, I really like using this little Cobalt 1/4 inch ratchet set. It's got all your metric and standard sizes up to, what, 14 millimeters and 9/16 of an inch. So it's got everything in there that I need. This one had a little problem. This is the bracket off of the bottom of this window channel. It's supposed to be spot welded onto the bottom of that channel where it bolts to the door here, and the spot welds are broken. So probably what happened there is this door's been slammed so many times, and with that bracket broken, it was just really racking this thing around. That being the case, we may just find another wing window assembly out of a different truck and put it in here. I've got a bunch of doors on hand here, and some of them are in not so great shape, so shouldn't be an issue. We'll just pull another wing window. So once you get to this point, you want to go ahead and remove the window channel itself. It's just rubber, and it's kind of just pressed into place there. We'll go ahead and just pull it all the way around the door so that it's kind of out of the way. And then from there, I just kind of pushed forward on the bottom of that track, broke it loose, and out it comes. Just like that. So we can go ahead and pull this channel loose the rest of the way. It seems to be in decent condition, so we'll leave it there. Yeah, and you can see where that bracket was supposed to be attached. So again, if yours does that, I guess what I would recommend if you've got a welder is just drill holes where those little divots are, line it up, and just weld the guy back on. Because I've got other parts laying around here, I'll probably just get a different wing window. It's probably not worth the time to mess with it. But at this point, we've got that wing window out of the way. Get access in here to make that repair. Got my window down, and I can actually slide that window off of the regulator. Come on, focus. Focus right there. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Alright, so let's see if I can do this without breaking the window with one hand here. There's our window glass. So now we've got full access to do everything we need to this door, including getting that motor out of there. There we go. These tended to be kind of an issue, and I'm not sure why. These motors just kind of go bad over time. I don't know if the gears inside here get stripped and they just jam up, or what the issue is, but for some reason these regulator motors were a bit of an issue. So we've got that one out. We'll go ahead and do a little bit more troubleshooting on some of our other windows here so we can tell what we need to be ordering, and we'll get some parts coming. But at this point, I've got the door kind of opened up here so I can do everything else I need to do to get the window put on, or the window, the mirror put on the outside. I can make my repair to that bracket. Probably just line that guy up and weld her up. Then I can go ahead and get my windows fixed. We'll have a mirror on this side. We'll be one step closer to a roadworthy truck. It's one of my biggest pet peeves is vehicles that don't have a working driver's side window. Can't go through a drive-through or a tool booth or anything without pulling ahead and opening the door, and it's just a pain in the neck. So I like to have at least that window working, but in this one we're going to make sure that we've got 4 working windows. So that's it for now. I'll bring you back here once we've got a little bit more torn apart here and we can do a little bit more troubleshooting on these other windows, and we know what we need to order in addition to that regulator motor. Alright, so we're on to the rear driver's side door. Got the interior panel removed, and this is what I found. Motor's unplugged. Switch is unplugged. In fact, there's no mystery what this one needs because the motor's not there. So I'm gonna need a regulator motor for this one. I don't know if I could probably just push that window down. Yeah, certainly if I get in here and get a hold of the arm, I can just run the window down by hand. So I guess we know what we need for that one. Gonna need a regulator motor. We'll go ahead and pull apart the front driver's side. We'll see what we find there. Hey, one thing we do want to do on this door before I move on, I do want to make sure that we've got good wiring here. So we'll do the same thing that we did for the driver's side, and we'll bump the windshield wiper switch. We'll go ahead and hook up the voltmeter. Set it once again to DC voltage. Clip our leads in. Sorry, I'd show you, but I can't do all this one-handed. No touch, no touch. And then put our window switch in. Okay, so that's plugged in. Some crazy readings there. I think I got a bad connection here, or a bad switch. That's possible too. Alright, let's see what's going on here. Make sure, first of all, that the override switch is out. Okay, let's try this. Yeah, you can't see. Yeah, I'm not getting good signal there from either switch. So that could just be a connection issue here at the switch. The way these things work, they do run power through the local switch from the remote switch, so they're kind of wired in series. Or I don't know, what do you think? Do you think maybe that's part of our problem? I'm thinking there's a chance. So whoever pulled this door apart and removed that motor might have been looking in the wrong direction. Remember how I said they like to break there where it kinks? That's what we got here. So we'll either have to pull this out and replace those couple of wires, or what I may do is just make a new whip. There's about 6-7 wires in there. A piece of 7-wire trailer plug cable works real good for that. So that might be what we'll do, is we'll just make our own little whip to get this guy going. But I do need to have a motor. So I'll take a look at, I've got a couple of crew cab doors down there that are all rotted out. I know one set of them is power doors. So we'll see if we've got a good motor that would work back here. If not, then I guess we'll get a new one coming. So a little bit of work to do there. Let's see what we got for passenger front. All right, guys, we're on to the passenger front door here to troubleshoot the window. And I think I've got a verdict here already without even pulling it apart. If you can hear between passing traffic and my son shooting some hoops out here. Take a listen when I push this switch. See if you can hear. Actually, there it went. We've actually got it moving here. Look at that. That motor was locked up. It was just clicking. It was jammed. But got it moving here. It's stuck in the track. Don't want to come all the way down real easily. But it'll run up and down. So I think the motor on this side is okay. It just needs a little bit of work on the window track and maybe cleaned up and lubricated a little bit. Might have to see what we can do about that, but the motor runs, so I guess we need 2 motors for the driver's side, and that will be about it. So now we know what we need. Alright, so I had a hammer and dolly and junk welder out here, making a little video on repairing this frequent problem of a broken door skin where the latch attaches. I'll put a card in the video right up here to that video. But while I had that stuff out here, I figured I might as well go ahead and deal with this issue. So I used the dolly and the hammer. It's warm enough that the bikes are out. Not bad for the end of February. Got things kind of straightened around here to where I think we can get things lined up properly. It's tough to do here while I'm holding the phone, the camera. But yeah, you can see kind of there how it's gonna shape up. We'll go ahead and zap that guy back together, clean up that weld just a little bit, and just shoot a little bit of paint on it to keep it from rusting. We're not too bad there. I'll tap it around just a little bit so that it stays in place without too much intervention on my part, because goodness knows it's kind of hard to weld and see and hold things and film and do all those fun things at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and line that up, tack it into place, and we'll go from there. A tip on something like this, if it's kind of out of shape and you're having having a hard time getting things lined up, get it as close as you can in one place. This thing needs to kind of move back just a little bit. I kind of bow the door and get it sort of where it needs to be. But what I'll do is I'll get it lined up, and then we'll tack it in one spot. Like maybe I'd start right there where it's close, and we'll just tack it there and then tap things around to line up the next 1/4 of an inch or so, and put another tack, and then tap things around and adjust and put another tack. And just going a little bit at a time, you can kind of form the metal to where it needs to be to close up the gap. Clearly, again, I'm not quite right yet there. This piece needs to come back towards away from the hinge, kind of in that direction to be able to line up. But once I get it close, we'll put a tack, tap around a little bit, line things up, put another tack, line things up, put another tack. We'll just go just a little bit at a time, and we can kind of get things lined up pretty good that way. So I'm going to go ahead, straighten that around, and get the welder up here, see what we can do with probably the least expensive welder that you can buy at Harbor Freight, which is probably the least expensive place that you can buy a welder. I don't know, maybe Amazon's got one cheaper. I don't know. It ain't a high quality machine, I'll tell you that. But we'll see what we can do. Alright guys, well, there we go. Got it welded up, got it cleaned up with the grinder. Put some paint on it so it doesn't rust. Again, this is not body work, this is more structural. Just to kind of reinforce things. I debated a little bit about doing that guy too, but not sure that I want to get into that and make a mess that's going to be visible there, at least not with that cheap welder. I might decide to bite that off once I get the thing in the garage and I can reach it with my miller, do it with a little bit better machine. But that thing doesn't make a pretty weld, that cheap welder. Actually, it's the low range even on that is a little bit too hot for this thin sheet metal. So it wants to burn through. You really got to take your time and just pulse it and go slow. Just put tack after tack after tack, and then it gets kind of messy. But we got it done. That's doable. You can make good solid welds with a cheap machine. You just probably aren't going to make pretty welds, and you spend a little bit more time cleaning them up with a grinder or a flap wheel after the fact. So anyway, that is taken care of. We've got that part done, and we are getting about ready to start putting the window back together. One more little thing off the list.